So, when we look at the Dharma then, we ask ourselves, how do I practice this Dharma? How do I benefit from this Dharma? We are now on page 100. We are talking about levels of learning. Let us apply this to, let's say, our understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Now, we all know, I want to underline the word know, what the Four Noble Truths are. In a sense, everybody who has heard of Buddhism has heard of the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is the truth that is suffering. Second is the truth that is the arising of suffering. The third is the noble truth that is the ending of suffering. Fourth is the truth that is the way leading to the ending of suffering. Now notice that the wordings are quite different from the way other scholars might word it. For example, I say the truth that is suffering, right? So here we're not saying the truth of suffering, we're just talking about a philosophical idea. We will say that suffering itself, that's the truth, that's real. And number two, instead of saying cause of suffering, we say arising of suffering, not cause. Nothing causes suffering when we're speaking. It's how we react to things that make us suffer or not. Suffering arises, suffering passes away. Right? So arising, samudaya translates arising, makes more sense. Nirodha, of course, is very clear ending. And then the last one is the path. Okay, we all know the Four Noble Truths, but how come we are not awakened? No, we're still not awakened. But don't underestimate yourself. If you understand the Four Noble Truths well enough, you respect it and you reflect on it, you're on the way to deeper understanding. Right? Here, there are three ways that we must be aware of when we look at the Four Noble Truths, for example. And these three are called the three good truths, if you like. Yeah? Three good truths, Saddhamma. Number one is the Satchayana, the true seeing, true teaching as theory, Satchayana. Whereas you know the Four Noble Truths. Okay? So that's called theoretical understanding, or textual learning, if you like. This is page 101 at the top. 101. And then there is Kiccayana. Kiccayana, true teaching as practice. Then you have to practice it. Right? What does it mean, practice it? Look around you, what do you see? You see people are suffering in one way or another. Right? Now, first of all, you define what suffering is, right? You must have a clear understanding what suffering is, right? So there's physical pain, mental pain, right? All kinds of sicknesses, and then not to get what you wish, or getting what you don't like, losing what you have, things like that, right? So you have friends who are not happy. When they come to you, say, oh, you're a Buddhist, and they start complaining to you, telling about how unhappy they are with this person, that person, and so on. They're suffering, right? So you listen, you say, okay, here you are, this person is suffering. This is mental suffering. And you see, you look around, you find animals are being tortured and killed. You read the news, you see people suffering. One terrorist kill after another coming up. So many beheadings, I don't know what they're trying to prove, right? And you feel sad when you see these things. Yes, but it doesn't help if you feel sad, but you say, well, this is the nature of the world. People are suffering and then they incur suffering on others. That is why the simple teaching that we should be happy and bring happiness to others is a very practical and important teaching, right? If you are sad, it's very difficult to help others because you transfer the sadness to others also. Whatever you do, you must do it happily first. Anything worth doing is worth doing happily. I am so happy to teach you. I feel happy to teach you. I feel very happy if I don't have to teach you also, because then I can go home and do my work. I am happy if I have a free time. You know, my happiest time is I get up in the morning, 5 o'clock usually. I feel so happy. I say, oh wow, it's so peaceful. There's so much time to work, do my work. Right? If I fall sick also, I say, oh, I have to see the doctor. I say, oh good, I don't have to do anything now, just listen to the doctor, right? So no matter what, you're happy. You try to be happy, okay? So learning to be happy is a very important part of being a Buddhist, because you need to show that happiness, bring happiness to others. You won't be able to counsel people or help them if you're not happy yourself. I mean, let's say if someone with a problem comes to you and then you're sitting looking sad and depressed, how this person say, oh dear, I don't think this guy can help me, he looks worse than me, right? So you have to be happy, right? So you notice in Thailand, this is land of the smiles. No matter what, people they are smiling and happy because of a couple of thousand of years of Buddhism. You learn to be happy no matter what. So, understanding suffering is very important. Defining it. Number two, then you identify, so, okay, this is suffering. You see it in real practice. You see it in yourself, right? You begin to see pain. You understand the nature of pain. Then you know that it's the nature of the body to feel pain. I'm 65 and all these pains are coming like crazy. My shoulder pain is gone because this physiotherapist almost dislodged my shoulder and then put it back, and then the pain in the shoulder is gone, but the pain is outside the shoulder now. I mean, in the muscles. And suddenly my foot started giving pain. The pain just comes like that. So I say, well, there you are, right? It's a time of our lives where we begin to experience all this pain here, pain there. It's the nature of things. So we don't get upset because we know it's the package deal that we have with life. So we know the truth of suffering, we experience it, right? And then you have katanyana, the truth as realization, right? Okay, this one you see it universally, so you don't say, oh, I am suffering. No more I, me, mine. This is my body, no more. No more I, me, mine, all gone. You see suffering simply as rising, falling, something which is selfless, universal, and you don't identify with it. This is the realization of truth from stream winning up to arahathood, in other words, towards awakening. So these are the three good dharmas, or three levels of understanding, each truth if you like. So you multiply these three is simply theory, practice, realization. That's another way of looking at it in simple terms. Each of these apply to the Four Noble Truths. So you get the 12 aspects of the Four Noble Truths. Okay? Take for example suffering. You have theory, practice, realization. First, you understand the nature of suffering as theory. Second, you experience it, practice or experience. And third one is you completely understand it. Right? Maybe this last part still pending. It's okay. And then the rising of suffering, same thing also. There is theory, practice, realization. The ending of suffering, how to overcome suffering. Again, theory, practice, realization. Right? For example, the theory is, ending of suffering is nirvana. What is nirvana? Letting go of all thoughts. Right? And how do I do that? Through meditation. When you do meditation, you feel joyful, feel very happy. Right? And then the goal, okay, totally understood it. And same thing with the path, number 4, theory, practice, realization. So altogether, you have 12 aspects of the Four Noble Truths. Now, as we go through life as Buddhists, I mean, it's not always easy. Not everyone progresses uniformly. Sometimes we go too fast, sometimes we're too slow, sometimes we seem to stop, sometimes we even backslide. Well, that's the way things are, depending on conditions. If we are in the right conditions, we progress very well, very quickly. So it's very, very important to know what are the conditions that help us to understand the Dharma, about what are not helpful. Okay? If you have a choice, choose wisely. One of the things that does not help us to progress in the Dharma are what are called false friends, the unwise. It's the very first teaching given in the blessing, 38 blessings, right? Asevana cha balanan, okay? Asevana cha balanan, not associating with the foolish. Panditanam cha sevana, associating with the wise. Mangala Sutta. Mangala Sutta.
All this is found in Mangala Sutta.
Yes. And then the third blessing is Puja Cha Pujaniyanam, honoring those worthy of honor. These are supreme blessings. Right? Number one, avoid foolish people. Number one, why? Because number one, they will depress you. Number two, they will prevent you from learning. Number three, they will confuse you with what you already have learned. So it's not very helpful. Now, most of you have the privilege of doing that, but I don't. Because sometimes I'm invited to attend meetings and gatherings, and I have to meet all kinds of people, all kinds of funny ideas. And I tell you, I wish sometimes I don't have to do that. But on the other hand, I say, if I'm not present there, things will get even worse. Here I am, I have a chance to speak what I think is right, and I think I should be there. Only thing I tell myself, I should not be over-enthusiastic, should not get upset by the wrong things they say. When they make fun of the Buddha or they make fun of the Dharma, I should be calm, don't hit back, don't try to be very compassionate. How do you answer, protect the Dharma that way? It's not easy. Because you protect the Dharma, you got to make a stand. You have to, in some way, strongly say something. So you've got to use humor, in other words. You've got to use humor. And so you've got to learn to be more humorous. So that's why I start writing all these humorous stories, right, to practice humorous speaking. So sometimes we don't have the privilege of avoiding negative people, especially if we are Dharma teachers. So you have to be extra wise and to be kind, generous, humorous. So the Buddha talks about four kinds of progress, four modes of progress. This is on page 102. As number one, you have painful progress with slow, direct knowledge. In other words, the person practices, but very slow in progressing, and the result also very slow. An example here is apparently instead of Devadatta, he's struggling and still is unable to get a real teaching, right? To be awakened in this life. So it goes through a lot of difficulties. At least this is the traditional view of Devadatta. Then number two, painful progress with quick direct knowledge. The progress is slow, but then it gets the realization fast. Okay. So here is where you have the example of Vakali. Now Vakali, as you know, is a very unique case. He was a young man, and when he saw the Buddha, he fell in love with the Buddha's form. He's this kind of very caught up with how people look. So he decided to become a monk so that he could look at the Buddha. This is the first case of a groupie, I know, groupie case, someone who follows a celebrity just to see him, to respect his body rather than the mind. The Buddha, in his compassion, accepted him. He spent 3 months praying with the Buddha, so happy to see the Buddha every day. And then when the race retreat is over, the Buddha announced, well, Vakali, you can't follow me, I'm going to go away. And Vakali was depressed, really depressed, became suicidal even, Then the Buddha appeared to him in a beautiful form. He was going to kill himself at the jump of a cliff, The Buddha appeared in a radiant image. And then he felt very happy, very peaceful. And at that moment itself, he became awakened. He was a Arahant. Vakali also is an example of a person who has great faith. Great faith. So he has great faith in the Buddha, and that faith paid off in due course. But he had to struggle in his training, but the awakening came very fast. Now the third kind of progress is called pleasant progress, but slow, direct knowledge. Very nice, meditation, everything goes well, but the result is a bit slow. Okay? So here we have the case of Moggallana, okay? Where Moggallana had to struggle, but it's not too difficult. The Buddha helped him with his meditation. But it took about 2 weeks to realize.
That's so slow.
Well, Yeah, compared to Sariputta. Okay? Sariputta took 2 weeks. Moggallana only 1 week. In that sense, his progress was pleasant and quick, but the result was a bit slow. The Buddha interrupted him.
The rest of us lifetimes.
But we're talking about great saints, okay, of the Buddha's time, who lived in the Buddha's own time.
None of this is applicable to us.
Anyway, look at what you can do and the good things you have. Don't compare too much with the saints, okay? Because we are not saints, so we cannot compare ourselves. As the sutta say, only if you are an arahat, you can, in a sense, compare with an arahat. If you are a stream winner, you compare with a stream winner, and even then there's nothing to compare because you are compatible. Okay. All right. So in the case of Sariputta, it took 2 weeks, around 2 weeks, but his wisdom is complete. Whereas in the case of Moggallana, it took 1 week, but his meditation is very deep, so he had this ability of psychic powers. Sariputta didn't have all the psychic powers, but he has very profound wisdom, second only to the Buddha. So these are the 4 kinds of progress in meditation, right? So there you are. We have these different kinds of approaches in learning the Dharma. We have talked about various levels of learning and so on, and methods of progress. So here, for us as simple worldlings, but good worldlings, because we try our best to keep the 5 precepts, how should we practice? Remember what I said earlier, our task is to be happy. And one way to be happy is to make an effort to make other people happy, even in a small way. It's not easy, but we try. To be really happy means what? Is to harmonize our head and heart. Our thinking and feeling reflect one another. They go together. The thinking is in the service of the feeling, and the feeling is an expression of the thinking. They go happily together, head and heart. That is why, from my understanding, we learn and we teach breath meditation and loving kindness meditation. Breath meditation calms the head, calms the thinking, removes thoughts. Loving kindness resolves our problems, brings joy to us. This is very basic understanding usages of the 2 meditations. If you harmonize your head and heart, then you begin to see truth and beauty. So as modern Buddhist practitioners, one way to understand the Dharma is to see it as truth and beauty. When you practice breath meditation carefully, diligently, your mind becomes clear. It's easier to see the truth of the Dharma, easier to understand the Dharma, easier to know the Dharma. When you practice your loving kindness properly, joy arises in you. That's called beauty. You experience the beauty of the teaching. Every sutta that I see, try to translate, is about truth. It's beauty, it's joy. So you have truth, you have beauty. Truth arises from a clear mind based on breath meditation. Beauty arises from the joy arising from loving kindness. That's one way of looking at it. Truth and beauty. Truth arises when your mind is very calm and peaceful. Beauty arises when joy arises in this calmness and peace. So, truth and beauty are a very important way of looking at the Buddhist teaching. Yeah? Truth is how we think, beauty is how we feel. And these are 2 aspects of our being. In this sense, we can say beauty is truth and truth, beauty. They are interconnected, as one poet puts it. Once we have this kind of understanding, then we are able to accept that views are just temporary ways of looking at things. No matter what Buddhist school we belong to or don't belong to, or what teachings we think are great, they're just views for the moment. They're like tools. We need to use to help us understand, to help others understand at the moment. So once we have understood, we move on. We let go of the old views. Maybe new views might arise. Ultimately, we have less and less views. And in the end, we don't have to have any views at all because our minds are clear and we have seen everything, so to speak. And what does everything here mean? Everything here refers to the six senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. We have seen the all, the everything. We have understood what the six senses are. Then we have seen all. Just as the Buddha is called the all-seeing. He understands what all the six senses are. Then we have gone beyond Buddhism. We have touched the Dharma, and the Dharma has touched us. Okay? Alright, so I've come to the end, happily come to the end of our study of this chapter. And the next study we go on to Sutta. Yeah? Okay, so we have time for questions.
Yeah.
Probably about the emptiness of the Dharma, which
Oh, emptiness of the Dharma, sure. Emptiness, what page again?
98.
98, okay. The emptiness of the Dharma. Okay, and it is a bit philosophical here. Because here, Dharma and ideas. When we talk about the Dharma, when we are dealing with ideas, so we're dealing with our thoughts, our personality. And we need somehow to apply the teaching of non-self to all this learning. For example, you say, who is this learning the sutta? There's just this learning going on, no I, no me, no mine. When you teach the Dharma, you find, wow, some people will think, wow, this is great. So look at all these admiring people, hundreds and thousands of them looking at me, and you feel so great. You're dependent on the crowd. Some may say, oh, all these foolish people know nothing about Buddhism. Here I am telling them. So this is the self. So you have to let go of the self. Empty yourself of the self. Okay? That's one meaning. Another meaning is, we all have ideas. It is these ideas that's preventing us from understanding what's before us. So sometimes you look at the sutta, you don't understand. That's because you are judging the present text by your own knowledge. So you have to empty yourself of all the previous views and look at this passage as if for the first time. Right? That's why in one of the latest translations on the faculties, I think, I wrote an introduction and say, to read this sutta, you got to empty yourself of all previous knowledge you have about this topic. Just read this sutta as if for the first time. And then you begin to see all the old teachings coming back, fitting in nicely. Okay? So in other words, you cannot force an idea onto the sutta. Rather, you should allow the light of the sutta to see yourself more clearly. That way you empty yourself of teachings so that you can receive new teachings. Now, on a deeper philosophical level, if for example here, look at the second paragraph. Whether the Buddha's teaching is presented in terms of person and idea, whether it addresses reality in a conventional or ultimate sense, the truth is that the Dharma is emptiness. It is empty of all attributes. The Buddha got enlightened. How do you describe the enlightened mind? There's nothing to describe the enlightened mind. But then the Buddha spent 7 weeks deep in meditation. Some people say he took the 7 weeks because he was formulating what to teach, how to word this wordless, beautifully silent awakening. It's empty, nothing. So he has to put words into this. So he uses various formulas, various teachings, so that we can understand the nature of the awakened mind. But no matter how much we understand the nature of the awakened mind, we won't be awakened ourselves. We have to empty our own selves, or all views too. Right? It's just like you're happy. Someone asks you, tell me how happy you are. How are you going to show the happiness? Well, you can smile. You can use analogies, but that's the best you can do. No one can feel that happiness. Right? So this is one of the problems the Buddha faces in a way. How to present this emptiness of the Dharma, emptiness, this silence of his awakening. how is he going to put into words something that cannot be put into words? How do you talk about sweetness? How do you talk about taste? Taste is taste, you cannot put words into it. Right? So this is one of the meanings here. The Dharma is emptiness. And in other words here, we cannot say that anything exists or not exists. Here we come into a bit deeper. If you say suffering exists, then you side on the side of what is of the idea of what's called eternalism. That the suffering is something permanent. If you say suffering doesn't exist, then you're on the side of annihilationism, because it was there before, now it's no more. Okay? So these are all concepts. Of course, the problem is the Madhyamika, they try another way of saying, so you can't say anything about it, neither this nor that. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not, depending on how we look at it. Okay, in simple terms, suffering is what you make of things. Alright? You're suffering because you see something in one way. But if you let go of that view, the suffering is gone. Right? For example, if I like this card, I say, oh, what a beautiful card with a dragon on it, and this is my favorite card, and then somebody breaks it, and I get very upset. Am I upset at the card? It's not because of the card, it's because I have a tendency of being angry in myself. And it is the attachment to what I see in this cup. This cup is just 4 elements, earth, water, fire, wind. When I look at this cup, I say, oh, what nice design, these colors, it reminds me of something in the past. I'm attached to that, to the ideas. Okay? And when I see this thing which represents my idea gone, I feel, I say, oh, all my views are gone, and I react negatively to that way. But there's nothing there. Remember the story of the Sangaraja and the teapot, right? This onyx teapot was broken, and Sangaraja said, oh, good, now I don't have to worry about it anymore. Right? So, reflect on the emptiness of the Dharma there. It's nothing there. We are making something here. Formations. That's why it's called formation, sankhara. We create this suffering. So we understand that we have created this suffering, then we're also in a position to dismantle it, deconstruct it. This is another deeper meaning of non-self. Right? The Dharma is empty in that sense. Of course, then you go a little further, you say there's no suffering, no arising of suffering, no ending of suffering, no path leading to the way of suffering. Again, we have to take that very carefully, because if we say no, we end up with alienationism also, you see. So, and then we end up saying no suffering, and then endlessly without any end to it. So ultimately we have to be silent. Silence of peace. That's why in the early days, the Buddha was called the silent one. Muni, Sakya Muni. The sage of the Sakya. The word sage also means the silent one. Silent because he has understood everything and there's nothing more to talk about. Whatever he talks, only a finger's pointing in the direction. Okay? But the thing is, today we make a big fuss of the fingers. Right? The very people say the finger is pointing, you must look at the moon, they are caught up with the fingers. So it's not empty to them, it's filled with their own ideas. So you have to let go even of the fingers at this pointing. Okay, so any particular sentence you're not sure that this is quite a difficult passage.
So you say let go, then how you let go?
Let go means to see impermanence in it. Very easy, see impermanence in it. You know, there was a time I couldn't answer this question, I had this friend, and he and his daughter used to follow us around. And then the father is very zealous Buddhist, but somehow the daughter was not impressed. The daughter asked a question like, no, Buddhists like to say, let go, what do you mean? I was surprised at that time, I didn't answer her, I didn't know how to answer her. But now, as I look at the sutta, I say, oh yeah, you watch impermanence. Right? So it's very important we know when we don't know, we know that we don't know. And accept that. Later on we say, oh yes, now I know. Okay? So practice of impermanence, reflection on impermanence. Any other question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Much earlier you use the word mind frequently.
Yes.
The mind watching the senses arise and everything else. So, what is the mind?
Okay.
I think I've asked you this before.
Yes.
So, who
And
is
in
watching?
this case, we say it's the attention. Attention. When you direct your attention to that particular event or phenomenon. So that's the aspect of the mind called attention.
Yeah, but who's watching?
Question wrongly put. Because who is a load. Yeah, because who assumes a person.
Or what is watching?
Okay, what is watching? Maybe it's a more reasonable question. There is only watching going on,
Yeah.
no watcher. Okay? Here, what it means is, all there is exchange of sense data. You see this light hitting your eye and then you make sense of it. So the mind is creating ideas. The consciousness reacts with this external reality, ideas, nama is formed in your mind. Rupa is out there. Nama, Rupa, Nama.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is this ability in us that we can understand, see things this way. And if we see this, that is sufficient for us to understand the process that's going on. Okay? Now, is there someone behind all this? No. We can't see that, there's nothing there. So this is where you understand the process, you understand what it is, what the mind is. The mind is that impermanence, reacting, interreacting with what's going on outside. The mind and the object. Okay? Of course, this kind of teaching can go quite deep. We want to know, there must be a first cause, first source, right? Not necessary, because things go in a loop. They go around and around. This is called the unsatisfactoriness of language, and also the fact that we are not awakened. So we say there must be something. Okay? You see, the other way, how I solve this problem for myself, this is my own solution for myself. I tell myself, you have a better of two choices. The other choice is you postulate a prime mover. There is a God out there doing all these things for you, just like Descartes. Descartes just said that there probably is either a God or a demon telling you to see this thing and say, okay, it's a car. And this God or demon is telling you it's a car. So you have someone that you can explain and say, oh, this person is telling you what it is. So we don't have to go further.
What you're doing is just really personifying it.
Exactly. So in the case of Buddha said, we don't need that. The Buddha said, that's all you see, and there is no seer. Right? That far our mind can accept at this point.
So there's no seer, there's no thinker, there's no thinker behind the thoughts. There's no thinker, it's just the arising of senses and passing by. There's always this consciousness watching you, right? I mean, it's
always also.
No, the consciousness watching. Otherwise, or it's just the fit.
In a sense, yes.
Watching itself.
But this consciousness can subside, so to speak. For example, when you go to sleep, or when you're unconscious.
When you rephrase it, is there a higher consciousness beyond the vijnana?
No, I wouldn't say that, the higher consciousness. Higher, lower, in a sense, we're talking about this, inverted commas, sane consciousness. There's a big problem here. There is no sane consciousness. See, so I contradict myself.
But there's no sane identity.
Because every moment is different. See?
Yes.
So all there is are moments of experiences, changing.
Yes, moments of consciousness, yes.
Well, if you talk about higher consciousness, you can say wisdom, if you like, the ability to analyze. That is higher consciousness, in manner of speaking.
Each moment of consciousness is really each moment of vijnana. The six. Right, the six or the fifth.
You mean the five aggregates?
Yeah.
The number five.
Vijnana. Okay, let's be specific. So every moment is a moment of vijnana, ever changing. Yeah.
Every conscious moment, yeah. Every conscious moment,
Yeah. So always watching this? Is there a different kind of jnana that's watching this?
No, it's just it's a process. Think in terms of process. So there's no what even.
So there's nothing. I mean, there is just
Well,
vijnana.
We don't. Yeah, in a sense, we won't use nothing. Also, it's a process going on. Process, like an exchange, very fast. Okay.
Right? So if we don't watch this, then we become a slave
We don't.
to each moment of
Yeah,
vijnana.
that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, we get caught up with it.
Be I vijnana or most vijnana, whatever, right? Every moment is a vijnana of one of these five faculties.
And that's how the notion of the I arises.
Yes. So we have to be very conscious of each moment of these vijnana
If we can.
exercises.
If we can.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, what is the, for want of a better word, what is the higher consciousness? And these are very bad terms, because words are really so inadequate.
I
Okay,
think.
I don't use that.
No,
What is watching it then? What is watching it so
Okay.
that you don't become a slave?
The simple answer to your question is ignorance is watching it. Ignorance is watching it. Avijja. And with ignorance starts the loop of the 12 links. When you reflect on that, you see the cycle.
But how can the ignorance watching it?
It's a way of answering. Okay? Because
Is it
no.
a form of wisdom of watching it? If I'm watching it, it's not.
We're trying to think about something which is thinking itself. You see, this is the problem.
Yes.
Okay? So you got to just tell yourself that it is the mind watching itself. Okay?
Yes.
But the mind that's watching itself at that time
It's also
is
thinking.
ignorance. That's why we don't know what's going on. So if we have to ask ourselves what is the first cause, if there is such a first cause, it's the same answer. It is ignorance. And ignorance is also the beginning of the 12 links, you see? So if you look at the 12 links, when you look at the starting point, it starts with ignorance. From ignorance arises formations. Formations arises the senses and so on. See? So this is one question where I can only give you some words, but you reflect on the 12 links, you will get an answer. Because this is something not solvable through thinking. You have to directly experience, look at the 12 links and see what happens. Try that. Yeah? Remember, that all questions are solvable through on the level of the first level, what they call thinking level, philosophical level, much less on the listening level, because we're using words. But I've given you as far as I've control and command of words. Start with the word ignorance and reflect on that. Yeah? Ignorance is not knowing. Okay?
Ignorance is what?
Ignorance is not knowing. Not knowing the nature, the form of the truth, of change and so on. So reflect on the 12 links, or just a few of the links, even between two factors, and you'll find some answers there. Okay? Another way is reflect in terms of non-self. These are all aspects of this idea. Anyway, it's very philosophical. Go further, be very philosophical.
This is meditation. Yes.
Sorry?
This is for the 102. Forms of progress. Is it the meditation?
The 4 kinds of progress. Yeah, it's talking about meditation. It's different how you progress. Meditation, and then what happens to you as you change through your meditation. Any other questions?
You know,
Last one.
Abhidharma, this is not a question, it's a comment.
Yeah.
I feel that Abhidharma obfuscates. I mean,
Yes.
by analyzing to death each terminology obfuscates.
True.
Rather than the spirit, it's clear.
You know,
I don't see how it
one of the
it
monks,
feels right.
Achan Sujato, has a very interesting remark. He says these Abhidharma scholars, they are like scientists, these entomologists, who catch a butterfly, and then kill it, and then pin it, and then just put it nicely, label it, and try to classify everything, instead of letting this butterfly fly freely and enjoying the beauty. Anyway, Abhidharma is its purpose. I mean, you must really know the Dharma first, the suttas, with your meditation, then only you can explain the Abhidharma clearly. But here, Abhidharma is used as a fact to show people, oh, I know more, or rather to raise the status of the group or teacher. I think this was one of those very rampant situations during the Song dynasty, when there was great competition, and every center and teacher introducing their version of meditation, knocking down the other version. So one teacher was, oh, that temple, they teach the whole Indian meditation. We are Chinese, in this Indian meditation. Try this is the real meditation. So it went on like that.
So very sad, because it's all emphasis of self.
The sad thing is this, that the teachings have been handed down to us because of the glorious nobility of these teachers. So these are things we've got to be aware of, and their views, and we need to let go of them and go back to the early teachings. Okay?
Some use the Abhidharma to meditate, some use
No, you can't use Abhidharma to meditate. You will be confused. Yeah. Because when we meditate, you let go of views. Remember, you got thinking, you can't meditate, you see? So we let go of views. So that is why you find a lot of Westerners who are new to Buddhism, they can meditate better, because they are not burdened by so many things that they have learned, So in other words, remember, views are provisional. In other words, they're temporary stopgaps. We use them, as long as they're helpful, let them go, you feel happy. Okay? The more you let go, the more you're happy. Your breath, your views are like your breath. Take them in, let them go. Breathe in, breathe out. Then you live. Okay? Then you grow.